Candace, here's my theory. I believe that the elites are aiming for clinical retardation. I'm not kidding. I believe that if somebody produced a study right now and said, don't drink water, 50% of people in the world would perish. They would die because they would suddenly just stop drinking water because the data says don't drink water. And obviously, I've showed you guys many times in my podcast, my favorite clip on the internet this year, because it explains exactly my philosophy in life. It's the reason why we designed the second edition of the Standis Cups to say, don't care, built different. It's very important for you guys to take a listen to Andrew Tate explaining what we can garner from the data, as he says. Take a listen.
I'm glad I'm super rich. You know, now that I'm super rich, I get to be one of those crazy rich guys who acts unusual. And they're like, oh, he's a bit eccentric, but he's rich, so he gets away with it. Like wearing a microphone on his chest. Everyone else puts a suit on, hides the microphone. I'm like, get a microphone, bruv. Don't care. Built different. Don't care. One of my habits now is ignoring all data. It's great. I love when people come to me and say, actually, we've got the data to prove. To prove what, you little What are you going to prove to me? I can prove to you that the ice caps are melting. There's ice in my water right now. I'm going to leave the water unattended until the ice melts. Will the water overflow out of the cup? No. Why are all the richest, most important people in the world who are pushing this scam buying beachfront homes? Oh, but the data says. The data's from the Matrix, and you are the Matrix, and the Matrix is full of lies. Anyone who actually analyzes the data nowadays proves they're a dumbass. Have you seen that graph thing, that meme, where you have the most stupid people and the most intelligent people do the same thing? Then you have the midwit in the middle. Data is for midwits, you know? Well, the data says, yeah, the data says. Well, actually, I guess statistically, the pharmaceutical company who sells the jab made the data. Why are you even reading it? Why are you reading it? There were stupid people who sat there and said, the jab's made of 5G cellular data. And then there was extremely intelligent people like me who said, I don't trust these motherfuckers. And we both didn't get the jab. All the people in the middle were like, well, the data says, and the news said. They wouldn't just make us all take a jab for no reason. Jabby jab, jabby jab. If you even look at data nowadays, you're a dumbass. You should just know. Street smart people don't need data. We've just been around. You know? I've just been around. I just know things because I've just been around on the street. If somebody's trying to give you something for free so desperately, it's probably a trap. When you're street smart like me, you're on the corner. You, your boys, some bitches. Guy comes up to you, goes, you want a hamburger? Not really. Hamburgers are good for you. If you don't eat, you'll die. Yeah. You should really have this hamburger. I don't want it. If you don't have this hamburger, you're going to lose your job. And we're going to lock you in your house. I don't trust him or his hamburger. Why were you people like, well, do you have a study about this hamburger? Do you have some data on the hamburger? Oh, it says that protein's good for you. Give it to me. Dumbass. The guy who got the hamburger is trying to force it down your neck, pull the study out.
Preaching hate. He says, I'm not going to let the wolf eat me anymore. If the wolf comes in here, next time he comes in here, I'll do whatever I have to do to keep him off my back. Is the sheep violent or is the wolf violent? He wasn't teaching hate, he was teaching common sense. You know, somebody's knocking you over the head, stop them. Do whatever you have to do to stop them. You know, the ones that were knocking him over the head were afraid of the fact that he might swing back. So they said, no, he's teaching hate, he's violent.
Warriors, yes. 2 for 1 special. Hey, let's get this thing going, man. As you can see, you got Candace Owens. Really respect and admire Candace Owens. A lot of her points of views I do agree with. You know, there's very little that I hear her speak about that I disagree with. Very little. There's a few things. But that's what life is about. You're not going to always agree with every point. But, you know, there's always an opportunity for understanding, enlightenment, and to shed light on things, right? because we're all about shedding light here at the War Sheet Podcast. So we got Candace, and we got another one of Andrew Tate, who's going to be sharing a perspective, as you can hear, listen to what his perspective was on the ideology of the world, on the ideology of the masses and how they perceive things. And just remembering and recalling the time of COVID, I, of course, was there living, breathing during COVID, as were you, if you're currently watching. But that was a time that was very surprising to me. And me being a rebel, as I am, and somebody who just does not agree with the intergovernmental system, or the matrix as they like to call it, I continued to do what I need to do on a day-to-day basis. I didn't wear a mask. I went everywhere. I went to Home Depot, doing all kinds of different work. I was all over the place. There was nowhere that I went. I practically was licking door handles. There was nowhere that I went that I felt like that I needed to conform or comply with anything that anyone was saying. They would even chase me down. I would walk into a store. Hey, sir, come here, sir. And I'll just ignore them, pretend as though I don't even hear them, and I just keep walking. In fact, I start walking faster, as though I was a Jehovah's Witness was trying to flag me down or trying to sell me something, or some salesman. No, thank you. I'm just gonna continue on my day. Like, I'm not looking to comply with that, because it never really made sense to me. These masks and things like that that you had to wear. Not only that, how was it going to protect you? What was it going to do to protect you? There was things that, it just wasn't didn't add up to me. It just didn't make sense. How is this piece of cloth over my face supposed to protect me from something this violent, right? Social distancing. Staying away from people, staying in your homes. It was a pretty eerie, way to live. And I believe it was a test run. I believe it was a test run for everyone to see who would conform, who would comply, who wouldn't. I guarantee you, people like Candace, people like Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate, things like that, Donald Trump, we're all on the FBI watch. I promise you. Anybody who's going up against the intergovernmental system or fighting against the matrix, anybody who has been doing so and doing so publicly are on watch. And not only they're on watch, but of course, this is chess, not checkers. So they're going to systematically design a way to infiltrate, to derail, to do whatever they need to do to stop them from reaching a level of success, of a level of influence, to encourage the masses to not trust the intergovernmental system or the public food system that they send their children to. But there's a particular part in this interview that I really wanted to review and go over. Let's see, let me get the timestamp. Because we're going to discuss a little bit about our current money system and their situation for the U.S. here. What's going on with the current situation, right? Monetarily. And I think it's very important for us to reveal a bit of truth or shed some light on some things, right? Because as the Malcolm X quote goes to say, light creates understanding. Understanding creates love. Love creates patience. And patience creates unity. So we all need to be unified in the spirit and informed. So let's get into this thing. I think I got the right timestamp. Let's jump into it.
We're absolutely corrupt. But also financially, money's not even real. We talk about a lot of things. People say, oh, it's all about the money. And I say that is such an optimistic view. that you believe it's people say, oh, it's all these people in the world liked to laugh. They like to laugh at you wearing a mask and injecting yourself with poison. They thought it was funny. And power absolutely corrupts. We're run by these people in the world now. They're born into these families, or they're so corrupted morally, but also financially. Money's not even real. We talk about a lot of things. People say, oh, it's all about the money. And I say that is such an optimistic view, that you believe it's all about the money. Because it's not about the money. It's about controlling people, and it's about destroying their spirits. It's about destroying their souls. These people print money. Why do they need money? They print it. They don't have to make it. They just press a button. If you think they're doing things for money, then you don't understand how deep the rabbit hole goes. They don't actually care about money, which is why they destroyed the whole economy in the first place. They don't care about money. What they care about is making you comply. For the same reason a loser becomes a police officer. They're bullies and they're cowards and they have no actual innate power and they're empty inside and they don't believe in anything. And they want you to comply. They want you to obey. They want to intimidate you so they feel like they're something. That's why weak people in charge are so dangerous, because we all see what they do once they're weak. I saw Keir Starmer's stupid face. Put me in jail. I saw his stupid face standing up there. Oh, we're going to arrest everyone, trying to act like a tough guy. I saw the weakness in his eyes. I know what kind of person he is. He's not a good person. And he's saying the people of the UK are not allowed a point of view anymore. You're not allowed to speak. Full Stasi. It's incredible. It's actually quite scary.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is there were a ton of studies done there at the globalists, even at a certain point, and I am talking about the reason why Sigmund Freud, despite the fact that he was a pedophile and protected pedophiles, is still taught in the classroom, is because he is considered the father of psychology because he gave them this award, and he was actually a Kabbalist, and so he worshipped the Jewish Kabbalah, and the Zohar was his book, and so he basically trained. And they ran these programs to even see how they could create a psychopath, right? And how they figured out that they could create a psychopath was molestation was a component of this, like molest them from the time that they are a child. Yeah. And so I don't think people understand that if a man was raped when he was a child and then was exposed to all of these other elements and then becomes a world leader, he has an element of psychopathology that has been intentionally bred into him. And he will do things in a way that you will be shocked. People talked about how Emmanuel Macron during COVID, the French people were saying like they realized he was a psychopath. Like there was something he was getting, like there was a sadistic element in
they love
nurturing.
Oh, they love it.
One thing that I really want to say is this, is when people are talking about these things, they're not just talking about it for their health. Yeah. They're not talking about it to, because they enjoy to, really get you in a state of fear mongering. Just as years ago, there was this thing that surfaced when internet was not around and we had VHS tapes and sets, and one was out here, you were practicing your dribbling moves and, trying to be like and one, basketball street stars and all this other shit, right? Another thing that was surfaced was the thing called the Illuminati. Now, this thing called the Illuminati is you looking for the nipple. Like you ain't even found the nipple to latch on to just yet. You know what I mean? You're looking for it. You're looking for the truth. You're looking for your consciousness to be awoken to what's going on out in the world and the level of evil that you don't really have in your forefront because there was no internet to really put it in front of us like that. Not really. It was just starting to get popular, I believe, a few years after, right? A thing called the Illuminati came out and they spoke about people in the industry doing what? Pedophilia, child molestation, what else? Initiations to where you had to, have relations with another man in order to reach another level of success. All these different sodomy, men being sodomites and undercover gay, which I believe Wendy Williams was one who was really trying to expose it a little bit more back then, but then they started to blackball her, so she had to shut up. A lot of these people who are exposing this information and talking about these things, you guys called them conspiracy theorists, right? And then you coined the term and painted them and made them seem as though they were crazy. Like, these things never happen. They're all saints. They all believe in Jesus and God, and nobody's mistreating anyone. And come to find out, in the year 2024, when Cat Williams said that all shit, all hell and truth was going to break loose, you come to find out it's been solidified. It's been put on war form. Not only have the conspiracy theorists have been sharing this information for years now, over a decade, but they were actually right. These two right here who are speaking, you could be speaking about them right now the same way. You can be talking about me the same way. When we speak about the intergovernmental system or the matrix or whatever it may be, and how they like to use, and they are drunk with power, right? How them enforcing this jab, enforcing certain things for you to do, was just a test run. This thing for people who will comply. If you're somebody who would comply, or somebody who would not comply, you're gonna shoot yourself up with snake venom, monkey pus, all these different toxic chemicals, just because they said it is right. They said that this is going to be healthy for you, that you're going to be able to live, instead of you trusting in your creator, the person who designed you, to be able to adapt, to mold, to grow from these things that they claim will kill you. He literally gave you the things that you would need to fight these different things off, these different diseases of the body off. He grew it from the earth. All you got to do is just go back to your roots, right? Instead of trusting the creator, you trust in man, who's creating something in the lab that has been statistically proven. And so many doctors and physicians that have spoken out, has come up missing, has been murdered, has been silenced, just based on speaking out against some of these pharmaceuticals. Because let's be honest, the pharmaceutical industry is a large, very vast, and very multi-billion-dollar industry. And they do run shit, so let's not get it twisted. They are the type of people who will decide who your next president is going to be. And they are the type of people who will decide who will be coined or determined to be a threat to society or not. Listen, it's easy. It's so simple to be able to label someone a threat to society. I'm in court. I'm being unlawfully accused of crimes that I've never committed. And one of the prosecutors accuses me of being a threat to society because I have government documentation that came directly from the government, from the Department of Treasury and IRS. Labeled me a threat to society. And they held me, right? Without any crimes being committed, they held me. Continued to hold me for 6 months. They did. So it's very simple for somebody who's in control, who's in power, in a multi-billion-dollar corporation to, fabricate something, to paint somebody to be Omar Gaddafi. Murdered him. He was starting to develop a currency that was backed by gold and silver, and they decided to take him out. The U.S., right? Allegedly, whatever. Just in case you guys are those type of people. But I'm not going to allege it. This is what it was for. Because he started to design a currency backed by gold and silver. Same thing with Saddam Hussein. We really need to be checking behind the history of everybody that they told us is absolutely a terrible person, a terrible whatever. If they made them people to be an enemy to this country, we really need to be verifying that information and checking that out. Because I've listened to Putin speak. I've heard what he had to say. I've heard what they've had to say about him. And based on what he talks about, based on his actions, I don't see anything wrong with being the leader, the type of leader Vladimir Putin is, right? You can call me whatever you would like to call me. You can say whoever I am. You can make me an enemy to the United States. Listen, I don't have any allegiance or any alliances with the United States of America, which is a corporation which was formed during the Great Depression and was sold to the international banks. I don't have any alliance with that. I'm a national American, okay? So I don't align myself with corporations that view me as cattle, as commodity, as something that they can just make money off of. So you can call me whatever you like. I don't have any alliances with the United States of America. I'm a national American, okay? And Vladimir Putin doesn't talk about shit that ain't truth. He don't talk about shit that I wouldn't talk about. He don't talk about shit that ain't facts. And I guarantee you, he'll speak Russian because he wants to speak in his native tongue. But trust me, he knows English. He knows English. But it's about honor. It's about respect and integrity, right? For other countries, the United States, they've lost all of that, and I believe that U.S. is they've turned into bullies, and they like to go from country to country and siphon out resources and tell them what they're going to do with their life. Like they're in Africa, bossing them around, telling them that they're going to be fat. They're going to be, they got, agree with the alphabet community. I listen. You live your life the way you want to live it, but don't force people to live the way you want them to live. Don't force them to do it. I think that once this was all like, at one point, this was all under the radar. Wasn't nobody trying to force nobody to agree with the position of the alphabet community, but now it's more really out in the forefront as to where you got to pick a side now, and for your children's sake, because they're being affected and they're having to make decisions, life adult decisions, whether they're going to be male or female, right? And destroying their anatomy, and which leads ultimately to a higher percentage rate in suicide. And this is what it's been leading to, right? I haven't really heard too many success stories where people are happy chopping off their genitals. But let's get back into this thing, see what else they got to say. All right.
People in a way that, for example, if you had a woman with a family, this is why even like women should have families before you allow them to go climb a ladder. They're removing these aspects that are natural where you're going, oh, maybe I shouldn't torture these people and let these people die alone. Well, these leaders don't think that way. Like, you have to confront the actual evil that we are facing. Like, this is a cult of people, and they are literally deriving pleasure from your pain.
Well, let's talk about let's use some historical context. We're in the country of Romania. So Dracula is based here in Transylvania. Dracula is based on Vlad the Impaler, which was a man who had a castle about 3 hours from here. And he was famous for impaling people. He put a spike up one hole and out the other, and he'd impale them and stick them out on the streets. And what he was doing is, when he was fighting the Ottomans, every time he'd kill an Ottoman, he'd impale them. But the Ottoman army outnumbered his 6-7 to 1. So he decided to try and scare them. So he went into local villages of his own people and impaled them, and just stuck them on sticks and just put them all along the road. So when the Ottomans started marching, they'd march for hours seeing all these impaled people. He impaled people and chose impalement and got pleasure from impaling people because he was molested as a child. Because the Ottomans, when they got hold of him, sodomized him. So when he became the leader, he thought, I'll show you all a lesson. And he impaled everybody. That was his thing. Yeah. So that exactly what you just said. These people are morally corrupted. And if you sit there and think that these leaders have any interest at all in you, it's kind of interesting to me. People always say, the politicians are so stupid. And once again, that's a very optimistic view. They're not stupid. They know what they're doing. And you are confused and you think they're stupid because you think they work for you. You think, I hired the politician. The politician is my representative, and he's going to go there to represent my interests. And when he doesn't represent your interests, you think he's dumb. No, he works for someone else. He uses this whole "you can vote for me" democracy garbage to allow you to accept him sitting up there and doing the opposite of absolutely everything you've ever asked for. There's not a single politician doing anything any of their people have ever asked for, nearly ever, in the West. They work for someone else. They work for shadow lobbies and hidden interests and big money and banks, and they work for a completely different team. They're doing the exact right votes. They're voting exactly how they're supposed to. They know they're doing their job fantastically. Your confusion is you believe they give a shit about you, and they never have, and they don't. And we could talk about all of this, like I said, philosophically, but it's very interesting because the world is cyclical and everything goes around in circles.
Why would they give a shit about you? I mean, you got people literally willing to sell their souls for a bag. Literally. You got women out here who are jumping on OnlyFans to make money, right? selling themselves and souls, selling their value, their worth for money. It's proven the love of money is the root of all evil, and it's proven that people will literally sacrifice their own family for money. They will literally make their own family enemies for money. And power corrupts absolutely. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so what makes you think that they care about you? They just got your best interest at heart. So they tell you to take these shots. They tell you to do this, that, and the third. They tell you, hey, I would question everything that they say. If they told me, hey, the sky is blue right now, I would question that too. Why are they telling me it's blue? Shit, it could be red. You never know what the hell they're doing right now. You don't know what type of chemicals they're spraying in the air to make it appear blue, but truly it's red right now. Truly it's gray. It's been that way for a while. You don't know what's going on with all these chemtrails and things that they're doing. You have no clue. I kid you not. I was at a national park. Was in the bathroom, one of the bathrooms, using the restroom. There was mosquitoes everywhere. Had to have been at least 20 of them. They were all over the place. And of course, I use all natural mosquito repellent. I believe it's like eucalyptus or something like that. They don't like the scent. But I'm using the restroom and I take a look to my left. And on the wall, there's this mosquito about this big. Just huge. I wish I would have took a picture of it. Massive. Okay? Huge. I've never seen a mosquito this large. I'm talking, this mosquito is so large that you would have thought, if it would have bit you or, whatnot, you'd have been stuck by an actual needle. Like, you would have felt it. This thing was huge. I killed it. Honestly, to tell you the truth, that thing died immediately. I killed it immediately. But I really should have taken a picture of it first because I was confused if it was a mosquito or not. What are they doing? Are they manipulating the mosquitoes? Nowadays, you can't even feel them bite you. You can't even feel it until they're done. They fly away. Then you can notice that, you got some itching and swelling. Nowadays, you don't even feel it anymore. Are they biologically designing these mosquitoes to go? Because mosquitoes do kill. Like they will kill you if they're carrying malaria or whatever else type of whatever they would like them to carry. You can die from mosquito bite. Some of the toughest people can be taken out by a mosquito. Strongest warriors can be taken out by a mosquito bite. So I would question everything. I would never go into anything unquestioned. And honestly, all the way down to intergovernmental systems, to where you're in court systems, you got to question everything that they do. These people are not to really be trusted unless they prove themselves to be trustworthy. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of them who you believe that, we can trust them. They're politicians, or we can trust them. They're sheriffs, deputies. You can't. You cannot. And don't believe for 1 second that you can, unless they proven themselves to be trusted, right? To be trustworthy people. And it's sad because only in the United States, I'm not going to say only, but here in the United States, that's just the culture. Like I said before, you look, you see your left and your right, your neighbors, you don't know who they are. You don't know what their intentions are. You don't know what they're going through on a day-to-day basis. They're not going to have your back usually. You know what I'm saying? You don't know if they'll stand on solid ground or stand on business if you're having issues here within your own home, right? If they will come over and try to assist you and help you, you don't know. You have no clue. And I believe that's systematically done. They don't want you to be able to have that. They don't want you to have that level of unity because it's easier to control a people who are divided. Let's get back to the video.
You have a king who's in charge of his empire, and after a while, the king son he's still a good king, but he's not as good. And then the next king's son has just been too spoiled and everything becomes decadent and you don't want them to be king anymore. And there's a revolution and you fight for democracy and then democracy comes and there's a fantastic democracy at the beginning and everybody cares. And 3 or 4 generations later, everyone's just robbing and stealing as much as they can and nobody cares about the population anymore. And now you have people inside of America who would very happily put Trump as king for the rest of his life and put his son in charge. And then you go back to royalty. It's like the world is cyclical and nothing lasts forever. And when I talk to Americans, especially, they don't have this concept that America can fall. They're like, oh, but what will happen to America? I'm like, it's going to fall. I'm like, what do you mean it's going to fall? Nothing lasts forever. If you lived in Rome and you had these beautiful Colosseums and these marble arches and you're wearing your robe and you had all your slaves and you're eating grapes, you can't ever imagine it on fire. One day you woke up and you looked out at Rome and you were like, no way. This is the world. This is the civilized world. This is Rome. There's nowhere else. Still burnt down. That's what happens with decadence over time. And everyone talks about the fall of Rome and we compare it to the fall of the West. And there's a lot of similarities. The fact that the native men grew decadent. They didn't want to go to war. They didn't want to protect it anymore. They decided to open the gates to the barbarians instead to prevent them from setting everything on fire. They said, y'all, you can come be Roman. They came in, were dissatisfied with what they had. And before you know, there's an internal rebellion and everything burnt. And it's really interesting to watch America as it is now. And the answer to all of these things, it starts with masculinity at home. But I think the reason they actually fear Trump so heavily is not because he's going to make any large policy changes, because they still have their fingers on all of the strings. And even if he makes a change, they can change it right back. They're scared of the culture shift. They're scared of Trump winning because it's going to inspire men to be more masculine. And that's what they're actually afraid of. Right. They're afraid of a big man being a big man. They're afraid of him standing up and saying things. They are furious. This reporter you named, who I don't even know who she is. That's how insignificant she is. Mm-hmm. People like them can't stand the fact that when he says, grab her by the we're like, so?
I literally couldn't have cared less about that.
So?
This is like locker room talk. Who cares?
Who cares? And they're like, what do you mean you don't care? It's like, I don't care.
Okay, I hate to interrupt again, but I have to tell you guys about American financing. I know the stress, the economic stress that so many people are going through right now, feeling like you are constantly having to put your expenses on a credit card, which obviously only increases the stress because you're trying to find a way out of the never-ending cycle of debt. Well, here's something you can do. You can call my friends at American Financing. They're helping people just like you turn things around by using the equity in their homes to pay off high-interest debt. They understand what you're going through, and they talk to people in your position every single day. American Financing is saving their borrowers an average of $854 a month, which when you total it comes to effectively a $10,000 a year raise.
So, let me see what I got here. As we said before, right? One sec. Yeah, give me a sec. Because honestly, so as we wrap this thing up, listen, I've already been, stressed it enough. I believe that we all can agree that when we're having to face these different issues, right, and problems, and as he said, you believe that, the U.S. may never reach an end, right? Or it's, systems may never go down. We're never gonna have to worry about being a third world country. I'm gonna have to ask you to. I'm gonna have to challenge you on what you think about that. I'm gonna have to challenge you on what you think about that because, based on some of the research that I've been doing on the economic format and what's going on economically with the U.S. and abroad with other countries. You got BRICS, who's taken over as the leading funding company or leading funder for many countries. Now that the U.S. they're being phased out, Africa is now going with BRICS, and using them to fund their infrastructures, to bring their society up, to develop their society more, instead of using the U.S. dollar. They've been rejecting the U.S. dollar. They have not been accepting the U.S. dollar much. So they've been going with others to fund them, like Russia, China, things like that. And the Chinese yen is being something that they're looking to promote heavily now, right? So they're relying on that yen more, so they can bring that up for it to be the world currency that they're going to be using instead of the U.S. dollar. So, we'll review a few different videos about that, and I'll react to them, do a reaction to them, just to show you, give you a little bit more information and background on where we're at currently. But I believe, Trump got 4 years. If he gets into office, then he possibly can be able to turn it around just a bit. Or, we would have to pay attention to what's going to happen in the near future, right? So, but that's one of the biggest things, is just paying attention to some of those things, right? But I'll give it at least that amount of time. So do what you got to do now. Other than that, hopefully you got something out of this video today, right? Hopefully you're able to gain something here real quick. But it's definitely something. If you want to watch the full video, go to Candace Owens' page. If you want to watch the full interview, of course, the link is going to be below. Go ahead and check out the full interview. A lot of great information, y'all. A lot of great information for what direction the world may be moving in the near future, right? What your family would have to prepare for, and what you guys would have to do, right, to get yourselves prepared, get yourselves ready, right, for what we're going to be going into. Okay. So let me know what your thoughts is on this, right? Let me know down in the comment section below. Do you agree with their position? Do you disagree? Do you agree that, some of the things that you got to pay attention to is getting even more pronounced, right? Like you've noticed that you got to do it. Like what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to like this video, comment, and subscribe. This is Barack, your host here at War Sheep, and I am out. Peace.